Yeah, let's get started. We're here with Sam, whose film Monkey Blood was a part of the festival. So exciting. Congratulations, Sam.
Thank you very much.
My first question is, what was your inspiration for the film?
So this is quite a well-rehearsed story at this point. So it was the summer of 2019, and I was actually shooting my first feature film, and it was literally day one of production. I was super stressed, and we drove to my university to pick up all the kit, dash inside the kick store, start loading things out. I come back to my car, and there's a big yellow ticket stuck to it. And I thought, oh, for God's sake, of all the days. I got really stressed about it and caught up. And I just found myself sort of imagining what is the worst thing a traffic warden could have to go through. And I thought, well, I suppose if they gave a ticket to a car owned by the mafia, that would probably not end well for them. So the inspiration came from this anger and rage, but I guess through the writing process, I went on my own character arc where I realized, well, actually a traffic warden is someone who's just doing their job. And I like to think that we've ended up crafting our protagonist, Audrey, as kind of a sympathetic character, not someone who just yeah, screw them.
That's awesome. It's like how it's such an everyday experience that you've completely reworked. It's so funny.
That's one of those things that that's a lot of the films that I write, or at least I kind of strive to make, are the ones which are taking the most mundane of characters and then putting them in extraordinary situations. But yeah, it totally was wish fulfillment, quite evil wish fulfillment, that I feel I've now learned and grown past through making this film.
That's great. And what were some of the challenges of making the film? I know you had a lot of fun, science-y, lots of colors and stuff, and that particularly stood out to me. But again, what are the challenges?
Oh God, I mean lots, simply because, oh God, making any film is a huge challenge. It's why I always feel I'm such an easy film viewer to please, because knowing how much work goes into everything, I'm yeah, okay, it sucks, but still people poured so much time and effort into it. With Monkey's Blood, I think particular challenges on top of the standard filmmaking kind of stuff was we had to interact with the police a lot because we were using fake firearms. I mean, I'm sure this won't win me any points with the police, but my God, they were so naff. It didn't make me feel that great about the state of society when on the day that we were filming, we had an actor it wasn't a serious injury, but he ended up having to go to hospital. He was a slightly older gent, so I feel we took it a bit more seriously. But the cops were on set because they're meant to be watching us use these fake weapons. They were engrossed in conversation. The guy hits the deck. He's like, "Oh my God, my hip!" And the cops go, "Ooh." Anyway, what were we saying? And I was like, what? You guys, are you not meant to help here? But in complete fairness, behind the scenes, that was maybe the only bad encounter we had. They were very helpful and made sure that we had all the right permissions and stuff. Other challenges, I think, here's a very specific one that I feel actually might be of benefit just for other directors to hear is I had a couple of cast members who always were coming to me with suggestions, and I'm not someone who really encourages improvisation that much. I'm fairly we had a script written by my super talented friend Lee that I'm really happy with. But yeah, there was a couple of actors who had some really cool suggestions, but a lot of suggestions. So kind of my main challenge was finding ways as a director to be able to incorporate some of what they had in mind and make them feel their creative contribution was being valued, whilst at the same time kind of streamlining the vision for the film. But I think I don't want to toot my own trumpet or anything because I don't know if I did it well, but I would imagine that is the mark of a great director, is being able to kind of navigate that situation. I'm a bit I wouldn't call myself conflict averse, but I don't like the idea that anyone's feels undervalued or not happy on set. So trying to like navigate the politics of say like 20 different people who all have their own agendas on set is certainly a challenge, but that's half the fun as well. Like you don't sign up to directing if you don't want to do bits and pieces of that.
And what do you have planned next?
Yeah, I mean, that's a scary question. So over the quarantine and stuff, I've just been writing feature screenplays and have finally come to the end of post-production on that first feature that I shot last summer, 2 summers ago now. What's happened to time? I don't know. But I'm kind of hoping to basically move towards prepping a second feature. However, again, I like to almost add this because so many people kind of say that. That also is encompassed in this notion of like, I don't know how I'm gonna necessarily just live day to day. I'm gonna have to come up with some sort of job in the meantime. But that would be the aim, working towards another feature of a like slightly higher budget and kind of professional level, I would say.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's kind of hard during these times, obviously, to like think of like what it would look like, but I seem like you're very excited about it, so it makes me excited.
I'm a very like, I think my positivity can piss people off sometimes because I'm just an optimist. Like, yeah, come on, it'd be fine. I think way too many people now, particularly like, I'm seeing so much on social media about like, not necessarily the death of the film industry, but we've all seen like everyone talking about exhibition and distribution, you know, cinemas are threatened and this sort of stuff. And, you know, I kind of feel like this is all a tiny bit hyperbolized and doom and gloom, to be honest. I think it makes a great headline, but I think like in terms of content production, there has never been a better time for the British film industry and across the pond as well. Like, what has everyone spent their time doing over quarantine and lockdowns? Watching content. So I feel like we're gonna hopefully leave this period of history and enter into a great time for content, to be honest.
And on that note, do you have any advice for beginning filmmakers?
Again, it feels it feels a tiny bit disingenuous for me to say that I can offer advice because I'm still like wet behind the ears. But I would, to be honest, like pass on the piece of advice that has made the most difference to me, which is a bunch of different contemporary filmmakers have said this, which is the fact that just go and make your film. Like, I completely believe we are living in the best time to be an independent filmmaker. You know, you hear all the stories of like George Lucas and Steven Spielberg making Super 8 films in their backyard, which is like lovely and amazing that they got to do that. But that was really hard and expensive, whereas now we've all got 4K cameras in our pocket. And like, I think that kind of pins the core of what makes a good film just to this idea of, well, your story is literally the only thing that matters. Sean Baker's shooting films on iPhones. Tangerine was a huge success. Steven Soderbergh's doing it as well. Like, if these guys are kind of saying, look, the resources are there for you to be able to craft a film that is half decent for like virtually no money, you should just go do it. And that's kind of the only thing that I've done. I've always called it like naive overconfidence, that I'm just like, oh, it'll be fine. Whenever I was in my I was in my first year of university when I was sort of telling people like, I'm going to shoot a feature film and I'm kind of testing the water to see who would want to come on board and be my DP and that kind of stuff. And there was never any pushback, but it was totally people being like, oh, like, you're going to make a feature film, like, good luck. And I was kind of like, yeah, it's just a long short film. We make short films, like it's no more harder than that. And whilst it's, you know, a much bigger challenge, I think there's still loads of truth in the fact that there's nothing stopping you from doing it apart from yourself.
Exactly. Awesome. Thank you so much. That was
good.
Great.
No, lovely to speak to you.